Day in the life of a database administrator. That's our conversation if you're just joining us. That's what I'm talking about. And again, I'm triple streaming at this point because I'm breaking all the rules. My team is going to be mad at me when they see this on Monday. I went crazy. I went rogue on all of our agenda, all of our plans. So day in the life of a database administrator. If that's again, recap, why are we doing this, or why are we taking time to go through? We've gone through this. We started this last couple of weeks now. We've been going live on different platforms, all of our different platforms, to talk about database administration or Scrum. And the reason is it's important to again, people want to get into tech because of the potential, the prospects, but don't necessarily understand what it entails. And so the objective is that let's show you behind the curtains what actually it looks like. So today I'll be talking about a day in the life of a database administrator. Before I get into that, for just a quick recap, if you're still trying to figure out who exactly is a database person or a database administrator, what do they do, I'll give a quick recap and then I'll jump into what I want to talk about today. Right? Let's start with the most important thing this is the one thing that you need to know. Right? Why is this something I should be interested in the first place? Why is database administration something I should consider? And why are there no more people shouting about database administration? Why is not a rave like cybersecurity or business analysis and all of the other ones? It's going to blow your mind. Every business is driven by data, is reliant and driven by data, regardless of what they do. All right, regardless of the industry, the niche, regardless of where they, what services they offer, it's all driven by data, all of it. Name a business if you want. You can put something in the comment section and I'll tell you how that business is a data business, regardless of what they do. Retail, it's data. Manufacturing is data. Medical, healthcare, it's data, right? Think of what will happen if your electronic medical records are compromised. Think of what will happen if those medical systems that doctors use, they lose access to those systems. Now, I'm not saying doctors are great and pretty much the smartest bunch of people you will meet in terms of academic knowledge and the level of effort they put in to get into where they are, you cannot discredit. So they are super smart people, right? But when you go to a doctor and you're describing your symptoms, what are they doing? They're typing it into a system, or a medical person, their medical assistant is typing things up, right? They're asking you these questions about your medical history and if somebody has had it in your family and all of that, and they are feeding it to the computer, feeding it into a system. What you don't realize is with the input of those symptoms, there is systems that give them, like the prescriptions they give to you, or not the prescriptions now, but the diagnosis they call for you, like this is likely what's going on with you. They are not just spitting that out from nowhere. It is based on the data you have provided them and the data they have at the back end. Comparing this data gives them a result, like based on the symptoms you've described, this is likely what is going on with you, right? And that's why you see that all of the recommendations, all of the hypotheses they always arrive at will be similar because they are pulling from similar data sets, right? You have your electronic medical records that travel with you everywhere you go. Every doctor you go visit, they can put your information in and they can say, okay, these are the medications you're on and this is what you've been treated for. And what does that do? It helps whoever is working with you be able to better provide service to you, right? So if that data is compromised, right, you lose a level of the quality of healthcare you're likely going to receive will probably depreciate because of the compromise in the access to data. So I'm giving that example totally made up, but trying to show you how data is critical to your healthcare. Now, what do the doctors or what do the medical facilities do to ensure that that doesn't happen, that data is not compromised? They pay for these expensive systems and these CRMs and EMRs, right? And whatever the ones the doctors use is called, right? And they pay expensive and a lot of money. Behind those software platforms is a database where information, all of this data lives. So the front end application that they pay for, that is the name of whatever, like Epic, Sage, whatever they call it, right? Behind it, what makes it efficient? The front end is about the user experience. But what gives the results is the data at the back that lives and is housed in a database. Okay? That's how critical a data is to healthcare. And again, I can go in depth for different industries, and this is not what I'm not talking about things that I've studied or just abstract to me. I've worked in medical facilities before. I've seen this firsthand. I've had students who work in banking and in retail. I've worked with retail. I've consulted for utility companies. So I know exactly how these things work at the back end, and data is so powerful. We live in a data-driven world. In fact, we are generating volumes of data. We generate data in volumes today that it has never been before. Right? I'm creating content on 3 platforms as we speak right now. That is adding to the data volume, in the world already. So it's a very data dependent world we live in today. Data is being generated at an unprecedented rate, and we depend on data. We make decisions based on data. Businesses, in fact, that's why there's a whole industry and field called business intelligence, right? That's to highlighting how businesses use data to make business decisions, right? Where right now we're in when election season, for example, and I'm trying to show you how this relates to us every day, right? We're in an election season right now in the US, if you're based in the United States, and you see the campaign strategies both parties are following, regardless of what side of the aisle you lean on. It's all data driven campaigns they follow. They know there are places that they know these are red. How do they know this place is red and don't even bother trying? Because they have data to support that, right? There's data to support that this place, no matter what you do here, this is the culture, beliefs. This we've looked at and we've studied their patterns and behaviors, and we've taken polls. Not you can't win here. So don't even invest dollars in campaigning in those places. There's these places, they are blue. Do what you want, it's not going to change, right? In those places, they start looking for, okay, where are the pockets of where there's hope? Which counties, which cities should I go? So now they don't go everywhere. They go to specific cities where they know we can flip votes and get people. Then we have places they call swing states, or we have places that are battleground states. How do they categorize these places? They study patterns. They have data to back it up. And the people here are disenfranchised about this. And so guess what? When I go there to campaign, I will talk about what I would do about the thing that they are disenfranchised about. Data. Right? Where do I spend campaign dollars on? It's based on the data I have available to me. So I'm saying all of this to say every day, everywhere in our daily lives, data is at the core of our decision making. Simple, right? Once you understand that, you see the value of the person who is managing the data. So somebody lives behind the scenes and is ensuring that all of this, I've described all of the different case studies where data is being used for decision making, whether for businesses or for the hospitals or in elections. And so who is responsible for managing this data? Who is responsible for ensuring that we have access to the information when it's time to get it? Who's ensuring that when I log on to my bank application, I am getting results? Who is responsible for ensuring that this data is safe, it is not compromised, the wrong people don't have access to it? Who is ensuring that every time we the data is available when it's needed and available to who needs access to it? That's the database administrator. So for the world's dependence on data, your database administrators, your database engineers, they are the ones who make sure that your data is preserved, it's kept safe, it's protected, it's available when it's needed. Right? When I log on to my bank account, I see my information, I see my balance, even if two of us or three of us or 10 of us or all of my family uses the same bank and we're legitimate account holders, we're legitimate users in that, within that infrastructure, permissions are put in place to ensure that I see only my information, right? That is exactly the role of database administrators. That is why what we do is critical. So now that I've talked about the significance and the importance of database people and database administrators, what exactly does a day in the life of a database engineer look like? Right? Now, again, if you have questions, put it in any of the chats. Depending on where you're watching this from, I will get to all of those at the end of my presentation. So, how does it look like? And I'll start with this. It depends on where there's differences. So let's talk about the different ways you probably are hired as a DBA. You can be hired as a consultant, as a contractor, or working on a project, or you're hired, as you're a full-time employee. You're not just working a project, you are working, you're working in operations. Right, so I'll start with the project-based person. Right, you're hired on an hourly type deal where you're hired per hour. They pay you $60 an hour. You're working 40 hours a week, and you're brought on because there's specific projects they need you to work on. Right, maybe I'll give an example. I was hired for a project. It was a 3-month project. This was a while ago, and the company, it was a bank, it was a financial institution, let me phrase it that way, and they were moving to a new location, and so they needed somebody to own migrating all of their databases from their current infrastructure to the new one. Hello? Hey, so I will take questions at the end. We'll do our introductions because we're way deep into the presentation now. So
wait, are we doing our introductions at the end?
Yeah, at the end because we're like 20 minutes in already.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I like your outfit today.
Thank you very much. You're saying this to Facebook and Instagram at the same time. All right. Well, let's keep going. So, if you have any questions at the end, I'll take time to talk through questions and everything.
I got you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here. All right. Great. So, so I was explaining you can be hired one of two ways. If you want multiple ways, but I'll focus on two. You're working as a consultant, maybe on a project basis. So when I was hired to do, it's a 3-month project. The company was moving to a new location, a new infrastructure completely, and I was brought on to help with migration. They already had their operations, their core DBA team. So their core folks were already. Their day-to-day was covered, right? But these guys, they couldn't take them out of the daily operations, and so they needed somebody else to come help them with doing the migrations. And so my job for that 3 months was, they already built out the infrastructure, server infrastructure. They had their servers, the data centers were all set, and my job was to do the database migrations, do all the configurations to ensure that they can, start working on those servers when they finally move. Right, so that was a project-based assignment I was on. So my daily tasks were very clearly defined. Right, at the beginning of the week, I'll meet with my supervisor, and I will have to get a list of servers that I was supposed to work on. And so I would divvy it up based on how I felt was convenient for me, and I'll, knock it out, do my configurations, and then I'll check in with. Once I'm done and it's all set, I'll hand it off to my supervisor or to the team who was. If it was a specific team or an applications team that was responsible for that product, they will get that. And so that's what I did. So that was a very straightforward type situation. So the day in the life for that kind of person was it was easy to describe. You come in, like I just described, you get your assignment for the week and you knock it out. You get things done. You're doing your installations, you're doing your installations, you're doing your configurations, you're doing your setups, and once you're done, you hand it off, and that was it. And then now to the more complicated, not complicated, but the other side where you're hired as a full-time production support, maybe database engineer, database administrator, at any tier, right? It's a different expectation, because now you're part of the day-to-day operations. You're part of making sure there's uptime. You're part of making sure that the databases are up, customers are served, end users are happy, people that need reports are getting reports. So now you're part of the fabric of that organization's IT infrastructure, right? So it's a different set of expectations. So your day will start something like you come in the morning, and I'm talking about the day in the life of a database administrator, like inside the role of a database administrator. So that's want to give more perspective for everyone who's joining us. Trying to give more perspective to what it looks like inside inside the day-to-day of a DBA, right? A database engineer, database administrator. So that's what we are. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So typically, what will happen? There is what we call a. We have what we call our morning checks, and your morning checks will be looking through the different core maintenance activities that typically run in the night. So I'll take a step back. We will typically have what we call, so I'll even go back a little bit further. We have to put, like, how do you ensure your vehicle is running smoothly and seamless the whole time? You do maintenance, right? You do your oil changes, do your tire rotations, all of that good stuff. So we do the same type of things for our databases, right? We do our backups on a regular basis. We do index maintenance, and we do all of this maintenance things. And that's, those are some of the maintenance things we have to do. So all of those maintenance tasks are automated, right? We find the least busy time in the day, and then we configure those maintenance things to run during those times, right? So that it doesn't interfere with the day, right? You're not going to, if you use your vehicle to drive to work, you're not going to try to do maintenance, schedule maintenance for 9 a.m. in the morning, because you're probably driving or commuting to work if you're working in office work. And so typically what you want, once you deal with your morning routine, you want to go and make sure you're on top of all of your tasks. Right, we have what we call service level agreements, and you can take note of that. A service level agreement is basically a contract you have for every task that's assigned to you. So there's general policies around, if you have external clients, there's an amount of time they expect you to, respond to their issues and resolve those things. And so that's the service level agreement. Those kind of have a way of, reflecting on your performance as a database engineer, database administrator. And so you want to ensure that you're not falling behind on any task, and if there's for any reason maybe you're not able to complete an assignment in the specified time, you want to communicate that to supervisors, whoever is higher ups, and let everybody get on the same page about that, so that the SLA thing doesn't count against you. So that's the next place you're going, is if you have, and you might end up staying on this for the rest of the day, right? Where you're working on the things that are assigned to you, depending on how much you have assigned to you and how much time you have to deliver them. That's always, next place you're going. For some, you might just need to send out an email and let somebody know you're working on something, or send an update and like, hey, this is what I've done, and this is, I'm going to get to this by the end of the day. So you're doing all of that, navigating those communications early enough in the day, right? Because that's important, because that's also how you basically prioritize that's how you prioritize what you're working on. Once we get through solving issues from the night before, this is your, that's your schedule per se, except something comes up where your manager, supervisor, team lead is asking you to work on something. Your ticket is how you assign, that's how you prioritize what you're working on, or what's in front of you, right? And so that's so important. You want to stay on top of this, because decisions are made based on tickets, right? You see your manager will have one-on-ones with you based off of what they see from your queue, things that you've worked on, right? In fact, that's a good way to know, hey, do I need to take on more? Because you might be in a situation where you're not doing as much, or maybe you're spending too much on one project, or you're your work is not, there's not enough range in what you're doing, right? You're solving specific problems, but you're ignoring some. That's a good way for you to measure yourself as well. And maybe I need to take on more of this type of task, or need to help up in this project. It's a good way to insert yourself into certain, things that will give you visibility at work. And so working your tickets become very it's very important. So that's a big part of your day. I'm staying on top of what you have assigned to you and communicating back and forth, ensuring that you're not falling behind when it comes to your assigned responsibilities. All right, so let's say we get past all of that. Then if you're working in like production support type environment, rest of your day will typically go towards break fix issues. What I mean by that is events happening during the course of the day, right? There's going to be performance issues or failures that happen during the course of the day and that require somebody to work on right away, right? And so somebody needs to take on like, hey, this is something for a client or a customer that breaks and needs somebody to attend to it. You're taking on those assignments, right? You're picking it up based depending on how you guys assign responsibility within your team. That's going to determine how things come to your plate. So it's those break fix issues happening. You're keeping an eye on, and things don't necessarily have to be requested from you. You're also monitoring your environment. So your entire database infrastructure, you have different third-party tools that your company might have that you're using to track the health of your databases. And so if you see things that are off during the course of the day, you are actively not just capturing but resolving them, right? You're addressing those issues, you're documenting steps you've taken. Share this, or maybe not share this one, because it went off the rails a little bit. But if you have any questions around our program, please send me a message, send me a DM, and I'll be glad to answer and respond properly.